Today, you'll be using the handouts provided to write the body paragraph of your persuasive essay. Now, note that I have scratched out this part where it says 3 paragraphs because in the STAR test, you will not have enough room to write 3 paragraphs. And that's the same reason that I've told you that you should have one really, really solid reason that you can back up with evidence and make a connection to for your body paragraph, right? So what is the body? The body of the essay, aka the meat, right, is where the writer provides evidence to support your opinion that you offered in your thesis statement in the introduction, right? So you should have said, freedom is blank, or freedom means blank. For example, mine was, freedom is the ability to make choices even if they make you unpopular, right? The freedom to make your own choices. So your paragraph is based on that one solid reason, right? So the reason is the ability to make your own choices. Because, why? Because, right, the ability to make your own choices develops your personality or your identity. So this paragraph now is going to talk about how choices develop your personality or identity. Okay? So we call that elaboration, right? What is elaboration? It is expanding or explaining on your point, right? How do we support it? So there's a couple of ways you can do this, all right? Generating a hypothetical instance. What does hypothetical mean, right? What if da 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 da, okay? Or suppose that someone does something. So if you've ever been in an argument with a friend and you're like, well, what if cats could speak, right? That's a hypothetical instance, okay? So when you want someone to see a different point of view, you'll say, what if? Maybe you can clarify a point. Now, this one's particularly difficult. I don't really advise it because this would require you to have a complex point, and I don't think that that is useful in a timed writing, okay? You should have a clear and concise point. So this one, let's just avoid it, okay? Thinking through a process is great for those of you who have a stream of consciousness writing, right? If you write like you think, then thinking through something step by step is probably easier for you than it is for other people. So you could say, well, making your own choices develops your personal identity because as you get older, making choices can be as simple as deciding what outfit to wear. When you go shopping with your parents and you decide, I like this shirt instead of that shirt, or what kind of video games, choosing to play video games instead of playing sports, or playing sports instead of video games, or choosing to read instead of watch TV, or to watch TV instead of read. All these things start developing your tastes and personality, right? So that's thinking through the process. Now, it says define special terms, okay? So that's called terminology. And this is really big because if you are writing a persuasive text and they give you a topic, right, such as collaboration, and you talk about group projects at school, you need to be able to use terminology regarding school, right? Due dates, that's a special term in group projects, right? Group leader, organization, these are all special terms, right? Specific terminology. Let's say you're writing about business people collaborating. So you would use business terms, okay? Now, that would require you to have some background information on that, so that can be difficult. I would not advise you to write about something you don't know about, okay? This is one of the easier ones, making a comparison, okay? So it goes further in here where it tells you you can make an analogy. That's great, right? An analogy that another student has made in regards to a similar topic might be that making your own choices develops your personal identity, and it is like customizing an omelet. Everyone starts with the base egg, but the spices and ingredients added customize the egg and make it unique. Okay, a little foodie there. Okay, so again, let's go over what you're going to be using, right? So in our cute little ABC meat and so XYZ section, right? This is what you're working on. Meat and so. Main point, right, is your topic sentence. So what is your reason, right, in your thesis, right? Freedom is blank because blank, right? So this is where you're going to combine that reason and the evidence. Then you're going to explain that evidence, right? And then you're going to have a transition sentence. And you're going to transition into, and you can keep this in the same paragraph. Some people like to make the counter argument a separate paragraph. That is completely up to you. I'm not going to say which one's right or wrong, because as long as you're indenting your paragraphs and you can fit it into the 26 lines of star, it really isn't an issue. Okay? So you're acknowledging the opposite side's argument. So let's say I'm talking about freedom is the ability to make choices, even if they're wrong or make you unpopular, because it develops your personal sense of identity. Okay? So other people might say that freedom is not the choices you make, but the lack of consequences for your choices. However, they're wrong because your reaction to the consequences further develops your identity. So I acknowledged someone who might argue against what I believe, and then I said they're wrong. Okay, that's called a rebuttal. And then I said why, right? So they said freedom is the freedom to not have consequences. I said no, that's wrong, because consequences are part of an important part of developing your identity as well, because how you react to what other people say or do in response to your choices is also important, right? If you get punished for making a bad decision and you take it with maturity and say, okay, I learned from this. I still think that, I don't regret making that decision, or maybe I do regret making that decision, right? That's your development. Then you have to say, so what? What's the point, right? So, decision making, whether small or large, whether something as insignificant as choosing what to have for breakfast, or as large as a life decision like where you're going to study for college or what your major will be, all develop who you are as a growing individual. And that is something that affects every human being. Right? So that's the point. So they ask, what's the point? Why should we care? Right? Well, it affects everybody. So your reader should give a care. All right. We're not doing the conclusion today, so don't worry about that just yet. But you're doing meat and so. All right. And I've got my copy of your thing here, and I will be working on it, and I will copy it into my live example for you guys to see. And so if you need an example to look at, you'll have that available to you. All right, let's get started, guys.